I'm seeing various reports that Jamie Foxx is reprising his role as Electro in Tom Holland's...
It all started that day, October 1st, 2020, the day that the internet was first destroyed for a piece of Spider-Man No Way Home news. And from then on, it got even crazier.
Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus is returning.
Never doubt Kevin Feige.
Week after week, more news on this insane movie was pounding the internet, now dubbing Spider-Man No Way Home as the worst kept secret in Hollywood. And soon enough, rumors came out that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield would be reprising their roles as Spider-Men in this movie. That is insane. You all thought that a movie bringing out 3 generations of Spider-Man together was something that could never ever happen, but now that's actually a real thing. And wow, it feels amazing. I've never been as excited for a movie in my life as I am for Spider-Man No Way Home. Watching that first teaser trailer when it released and after having no content from this movie for months was just such an insane moment, and I freaked out like my 5-year-old self again seeing Doc Ock and the Green Goblin return. But why are we so excited for Spider-Man No Way Home? Well, there's one main reason. Spider-Man.
Can I say one thing? Stan Lee says that the reason why Spidey is so popular is because all of us can relate to him, and I agree. I needed Spidey in my life when I was a kid, and he gave me hope. In every comic I read, he was living out mine and every skinny boy's fantasy of being stronger, of being free of the body I was born into, and that swinging sensation of flight.
Spider-Man as a character means so much to us, and to see a movie being made that brings together every single type of Spider-Man fan over the years, young, old, and even new, is just truly special. I've loved each and every one of these interpretations of Spider-Man, and they mean so much to all of us and to so many people around the world. Even our current iteration that we will be following in No Way Home, Tom Holland's Spider-Man. From his very first introduction in Civil War, I knew that this was a great Spider-Man.
Is this Grant got money involved or whatever?
The way he was dumpster diving for his tech, the way he crawled like a spider, and just how he approached being Spider-Man.
And yeah, I would love to play football, but I couldn't then, so I shouldn't now.
Sure, because you're different.
Exactly. But I can't tell anybody that, so I'm not. Look, when you can do the things that I can, but you don't, and then the bad things happen, they happen because
in his first solo movie, he has to deal with how Spider-Man affects his normal life, how Peter can't enjoy being Peter if he's Spider-Man. This carries on to the next movie where Peter in his grief decides that he doesn't want to be Spider-Man, he just wants to have one holiday without being the famous web slinger. But in the end, he realizes he has to take this responsibility. He has to fight no matter what, and he has to be Spider-Man. Some people don't love these movies, some people do, but you can't deny that these are different interpretations, and each one has been amazing. And I think Spider-Man No Way Home is going to take this Peter Parker's character to a whole new level. We're going to see him have to fight off the biggest Spider-Man villains of all time, but he won't be alone in this fight. No, I'm not talking about Ned and MJ, I'm talking about the other iterations of Spider-Man, the other ones that will bless the screen and bring so many generations of Spider-Man fans back together, starting off with...
The main reason why Andrew connects with so many of us is because of the lesson he brings towards us all. That no matter what life throws at you, no matter how hard life gets, and no matter how much you lose, you must always keep pushing forward. Keep holding on to hope. Because although it may not seem like it, it will always get better, get easier. Eventually, everything will be okay. Andrew has gone through the most amount of hurt, but keeps wearing that mask because he knows he has to keep on fighting. For Uncle Ben, for Aunt May, for Gwen Stacy. And that's why I'm so insanely excited to see his return back as the web slinger, because we are going to see the aftermath of Peter trying to move forward and his inner conflicts with himself. We are going to witness that inspiration again that brought us so close to his character. We're going to keep witnessing him pushing forward. Andrew's Spider-Man is more than just an icon, but he is that symbol of hope. And really, that is the most Spider-Man can ever get.
Let's talk about Tobey Maguire. It wasn't just about swinging from webs and fighting bad guys, but it was about how to be a stronger and better you. None of us are Spider-Man. None of us will ever know the hardships of being a crime fighter, especially when it comes to balancing that with your life. But we're always balancing something, whether that's work, school, hobbies, or goals. It led Peter into the darkest points in his life, where he was going to give up the gift. the talent he was given. Don't we do that? Haven't we ever struggled and given up talents and gifts we had? And listen, with everything, times are rough, and now more than ever do we need to look back at the words that are said in these films. When you're clouded in negativity, the pain, the stress, it can really bring you down, but at the end of the day, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. The excitement I feel just sitting here with my No Way Home tickets booked, the nostalgia that's running through my blood, the moment that not only I, but all of us get to see the return of the man who taught us to hold on a bit longer and to never give up.
Yo, Christian from Production Journal here, and yeah, I am so bloody excited for this movie, but I'm gonna be that guy that has a few reservations. You see, I want to go into this movie on the back foot so that I can enjoy it for what it is rather than what I would have wanted it to be. Because I know even now that ever since Tom Holland was cast as Spider-Man in the MCU, seeing him team up with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield was nothing short of my ultimate nerdy fantasy. I don't want them to do Spider-Verse just for the sake of doing Spider-Verse. I want them to do it because it's the next thematic step in Peter Parker's journey. Amidst solving his own identity crisis, where he lies between becoming Iron Man's successor or being his own hero, I think reintroducing existing versions of the character to guide him to becoming his own Spider-Man has the potential to be amazing. Tom Spidey became Spider-Man in a world already populated by an ensemble of Avengers and otherworldly heroes and villains. Tobey and Andrew didn't. I think, ironically, using the multiverse to ground Peter in his own world to face off with specifically Spider-Man problems will truly teach him the pain and the responsibility of bearing the mantle of Spider-Man. The potential that this live-action Spider-Verse has with bringing these two characters back who each had their own vastly different takes as Spider-Man and learned the same lessons from different perspectives is just phenomenal to think about. Tobey Maguire being the more seasoned professional here, the Chris Pine Spider-Man from the start of Into the Spider-Verse, if you will. Don't think too much about that. Whereas Andrew Garfield would be the more hopeless Spider-Man, the one who lost it all and so far had ended his journey at the lowest possible point for him. Imagine the storytelling potential to have him reluctantly come on board and learn what it means to be Spider-Man once more, learning lessons from Tobey while grappling between his guilt and remorse with his necessity to step up and deal with problems that are far out of Tom Holland's league. Like, this is a wicked cool dynamic, and this is honestly the best adaptation of what I could possibly want from this. I just want to see Tobey in his prime and Andrew at his lowest point, so that this mix-up of broken pieces of the three Peter Parkers can mature into three ultimate Spider-Men. The lessons they can take from each other, taking accountability for their irresponsibility, and combine their strengths to defeat the greatest odds of evil from their combined pasts. Whoa, I love it, I'm on board. But this is where that kind of nuance frightens me, because what Into the Spider-Verse did was obviously a very similar premise, except the distinction here was that each of the different Spider people were not Peter Parker. You had Gwen Stacy, Penny Parker, Peter Porker, and Spider-Man Noir, who, yes, were in some cases very similar variants of Peter and retained similar values and fundamentals, but were inherently different. Peter B. Parker, which again was not even the prime Peter Parker, acted as the worst case scenario for Spider-Man, and it lent itself to a whole range of maturity and nuanced storytelling and teaching Miles Morales that anyone can wear the mask. Spider-Man isn't just a Peter Parker thing. So if No Way Home is going to commit to this Spider-Verse idea, I feel like it needs to adopt the very thing that distinguished each of the different Peter Parkers and treat them as very different people. Wherein the only similarity between the three would be their name, which, yes, contradicts what I just said about anyone wearing the mask, but I'm working with what I'm given here. And, like, yeah, other Spider-Man will come and go, but for now, to have them all unite in one huge event is uniquely special. It's a really special time to be a Spider-Man fan. I grew up with Tobey, I was a teenager with Andrew, and now I'm a young adult with Tom. I've seen 3 generations of the character and I've grown alongside him. But at the end of it all, I'm a sucker for fan service. I mean, yeah, that's exactly its purpose, and it eliminates how I can articulate my thoughts here with a value of levity. Play the Danny Elfman theme, the James Horner theme, or the Hans Zimmer theme, and you've got me. It's that simple. It is the easiest and lowest hanging fruit, but it works. I could still be very disappointed with the treatment of these characters, or the use of their screen time, or the potential disrespect and hypocrisy of their legacy of Spider-Man. but a small part of me will always cling onto the excitement of the other side of that this could be the greatest Spider-Man movie that we'll ever get. Alex from High Top Films recently expressed his concern with exactly this, and he hit the nail on the head. It's exactly everything that I would want from this movie, but the byproduct of that is that this is the ballsiest risk that you can take with this character, because it has the potential to either elevate the 3 existing stories above and beyond what we perceive as the gold standard for Spider-Man, or it could cheaply destroy the existing legacy, good or bad, all for a quick dollar cashing in on an appeal to nostalgia. Marvel, you have the great power to do something remarkable here, but with it comes the great responsibility to do right by it. This movie can choose to do the bare minimum for some quick money, or it can be a fantastical, heartfelt ode to the character in all the ways that we've grown to love him since his first true cinematic debut in 2002. That's what's at stake here. Not choice, responsibility. Look, maybe all of this will age terribly and they won't even be in the movie at all. I highly doubt it, like I seriously doubt that, but there's a chance and I'm putting my safety net up.
So when all is said and done, Spider-Man No Way Home is just a pure love letter to Spider-Man fans. Everything we've ever dreamed of, and it just feels surreal. Like, how is this real?
You told me you don't. These incredible thespians.
I genuinely cannot wait to be sitting in the cinema, ready to experience this event, and I'm so happy to have gone through this adventure, all of this hype with you guys. If you're new to the channel, then make sure to subscribe, and thank you all so much for watching, and thank you to everyone involved in this movie for making our dreams a reality.